Hey guys, Tatey here, welcome to Tatey Games. Slightly different format. So I'm going to be recording overhead because it's a lot easier to explain, and I've got all this stuff already written in for your convenience, which is like slightly less than it should be. However, we're going to be talking about the game that I'm working on right now, and yes, Skyroar's coming. Just keep it on the download because it's really hard to make the models after your computer crashes and you lose all the models. Seriously, it's the degrading, demoralizing. Anyway, this is my crypto conundrum. Basically, I decided to make a crypto game when I found out what CryptoKitties was. And if you don't know what CryptoKitties, it's basically just a whole bunch of digital cats being sold, kind of like Pokemon cards or baseball cards or, you know, plushies or whatever they like to call it. So I decided to jump onto this new idea as fast as I can. But I decided to do it with a database instead of through the Ethereum network. Now, I think I'm going to need to change this, but just let me explain how it was going to work. First of all, the database is here, and it's going to be saving usernames and passwords, obviously, and of course, attached to that, we can even have email if we wanted to. But then we were also going to have another table, which was going to hold all the item data, right? And the item data consisted of stuff like, what do we call it? Like, just what item it was, what image represents that item, and stuff like that. So we were going to do it in a very RPG style so that you can trade swords, and you can trade, you know, shields and stuff, but you can't actually use them within the game because in CryptoKitties you can't use them at all, which is kind of annoying. I mean, you can use them to breed, and that's kind of the entire game apparently, and then you have to wait. So it's a very weird take on what a game actually is, because is a game, you know, something where you don't do much? No, because it kind of eliminates the entire gameplay side of it. So I wanted to do something with a bit more gameplay and realized that this was a great way to get the MMO project that I was doing to kind of get almost like a startup for it. And so it's going to hold item data. It was going to say, like, you know, it was image number 0, blah, blah, blah. And that would have been great. But databases, as we kind of figured out, was not as secure as we think they are. The crypto network is pretty darn secure, and it's very hard to kind of destroy stuff because it's going through, you know, the blockchain system is really hard to change values and things. So everybody has something, and there's no real way to hack it out, if you want a bit of explanation for that. So I decided to do the game in WebGL. I decided to use a database, but then I was realizing, well, what if we could just get rid of this? Then the database is okay. If people move items around, it's okay. They're fake items. If people manage to hack into it and change things, then that's okay. But the one thing I don't want is my users having these 3 things stolen from them, because you may be using the same password for your email, you may be using the same email, and obviously you have the email there, and even if your email is valid, all this type of stuff, validation numbers. And of course, if we were to involve microtransactions, it may just save stuff like credit card details, which is a complete no-no, so we are definitely not going with that way. So I thought that the next step we could actually go for is using Facebook as the login. Now, this is obviously a much more secure way, but you can use, obviously, Facebook's API, and they can kind of do it all for you. They take care of the security thing, and all you do is kind of link like represented by a number almost, rather than a name and a password and an email. All you have is a number that links to all the items that they own, which is pretty cool as well, but problematic because if we were going to use microtransactions, it's going to seem like a money-based game. And obviously CryptoKitties is not a money-based game, it's a cryptocurrency-based game. So if you consider cryptocurrency money, that's completely up to you. But some people don't, and blah, blah, blah. So if we're linking Facebook and we're also using credit cards, it doesn't really work. So I decided, like, okay, we want cryptocurrencies, and Facebook has nothing to do with that. Then I discovered MetaMask, which was pretty cool. It's an Ethereum wallet that's actually a browser extension for Chrome and I believe Firefox, which is awesome because that's 2 very common browsers. You know, no one's really using Microsoft Edge, I hope, or Explorer still. But the problem with that is it requires JavaScript to be able to interact with it and to be able to gather data. And the other cool part about it is that it actually exposes your public address, which is the address that you need if you want to send currencies to somebody. And everything needs to be authorized by MetaMask, which is awesome. So if we wanted to send an item to somebody, it's going to ensure that MetaMask is okay with that, assuming that the item was actually a unique token of Ethereum. So that's pretty awesome how that works, but because we weren't using unique tokens, we're actually using our database to control all of this. We kind of have this like thing here, and we don't really send tokens through the network. So learning JavaScript and running it through JavaScript is actually not what I wanted. And of course, if you're just doing a game in JavaScript, it's going to be significantly harder than making a game in WebGL in Unity, because I know C#. I really know C#. And of all the languages that you need to use in order to get this all working, C# is the one that I know I'm going to thrive at. So the gameplay side of it's going to be really cool because I'm going to be using WebGL, and it's going to be a lot more in depth than CryptoKitties, which is basically using, Neopets styled gameplay. And just making it, web page based, where you just buy and sell and trade. It's like a eBay kind of. So this is all great. I know I'm going to use MetaMask, and I know I'm going to use JavaScript and C# to actually run the game. The problem is this link between JavaScript and C#. It is incredibly hard to get those two scripts to communicate with each other, especially if you're doing it through Unity. Because you see, in order to do that, you need to import DLLs of the JS library that you make, which you are then saving underneath the plugins folder. And JS library is the same as JS. These two are equals. Basically what you're doing is, instead of putting the JavaScript onto the web page, which in order to access that you need HTML and stuff like that, instead of doing that, no, we just leave out this JavaScript one and actually diverge it through the JS library or the JavaScript library, which then communicates with MetaMask in order to gather that information. Now the cool thing is that we're using MetaMask to do our Ethereum transactions, which is really cool. We're also using MetaMask to have your public address as your username, so we can replace it for the username. So in item data, when we know who the, let's say it's called owner, it's going to go straight to your public address. So your owner is going to be the public address, and we can actually do it this way, and it's really, really awesome. The only problem is, if we have the public addresses here, there is a bit of a privacy issue, because if people can get into that, they can check your balance, and a lot of people don't actually want them to check what type of balance you have. So if your public address is exposed within the SQL and somebody manages to get in, I'm not saying it's possible, but I'm also not saying it's impossible, because anything online can be accessed in some form, some form of way. So if they were managed to, for example, do an SQL injection, they may be able to figure out how much balance you have and actually target that address in God knows what way, but be able to target that address or the address with people with lots of Ethereum as something that they're trying to get into. That's of course worst case scenario. What's great about it is that it doesn't take your secret key. Now the secret key actually allows you to send Ethereum across the network to other people and stuff like that. So it's really cool using MetaMask in order to do that. And then of course through the JS library and C#, so that whenever you in-game, for example, you're going to make a transaction, you call the function through the JS library, and then it calls it to MetaMask, which is pretty cool. The problem arises when I'm thinking anything with SQL can be accessed, and you're doing a game based on crypto, and what if the whole service shuts down? What happens to all the items that the player actually owns? Well, they get lost if somebody manages to, I don't know, destroy the entire server. Plus, the problem is crypto is very much, it's kind of like, it's a concept where people really don't like authority in a way. Giving authority to everybody instead of just one person. And the thing is, if I'm the only one who has access to these tables and can change them around as I so wish, then that means that I have an authority over this. And people playing these crypto games like CryptoKitties doesn't work in this manner, because the cats themselves are actually represented by an Ethereum token. Now, an Ethereum token is basically a token that is representative of Ethereum, and it came with the new ERC 2721 or some random number. But what that allowed you to do was make unique tokens, and you could do that in a struct or a structure. So you can select different colors for different things, or different numbers basically, and the player doesn't own the image of the cat themselves. They actually own, like, the cat that has absolutely no value, the image. What they own is the line of code that actually creates the cat. So you'd have types of ears maybe, or types of eyes, and then you got, you know, types of tails and stuff like that. And I mean, it's ridiculous that you don't own the cat itself, the image of the cat. You actually own color, for example, 0 for that, maybe 7 for that, maybe 52 for the body, and, you know, 8 for the tail. They don't own the cat, they own these numbers here, which is, it's weird to think. But in my game, because the items are so unique, the items are not unique, and you can have many of the same types of swords, or else that requires me either drawing every type of sword, or every type of sword combination, or creating a system where it actually constructs the sword out of the information over here. It would be really cool, but it's a lot easier to do with one item than it is to do with 50 million items, or however many I want to make. So the conundrum here is basically database versus crypto tokens. Or Ethereum tokens, I should say. And it's whether or not one actually outweighs the other. And it's something that you guys, I guess, should think about. If games end up going into the crypto market, this is legitimately what it's going to be about. It's going to be about stuff like this, outweighing certain things with other things. So I thought you guys might be interested in knowing what I'm doing, partially, and this is kind of the conundrum I'm going over. The things I'm struggling with is the JS library. It just hates me. It really hates me. And the only way to test it, as far as I know, is to actually export it from Unity into the WebGL format, then uploading it, because it can't be run through C or file. It can't be run from the file itself in Chrome. It can only be run from a HTTPS, which is annoying. But hey, that's the type of stuff that you sacrifice while doing it. Anyway, hopefully you guys all enjoyed this. Just basically explaining what I'm doing, and yeah, I'll see you, I don't know, when I decide to make another one of these. I thought this was a pretty cool top down. Leave a comment whether or not you actually like this type of stuff. Hey, thank you so much guys for watching. I'll see you next time.